The Interstellar Defense Academy prided itself on one simple fact: no cadet had ever failed the Deathworld survival examination. Not once. For over 400 cycles, recruits from dozens of species had entered hostile worlds and emerged alive. Some injured. Some traumatized. But alive. Instructor Kaelrix believed that record would hold. Until she reviewed the final roster. Among the 200 hand-selected cadets, elite soldiers, hunters, tacticians, and survival specialists, one name stood out like a data error. Evan Holt. Species, human. Age, 18. Kaelrix paused, scanning the attached psychological profile. Introverted. Minimal social interaction. Avoids physical confrontation. Demonstrates low verbal engagement. The note at the bottom was blunt. Unlikely to endure prolonged stress. He won't last, said Instructor Marvek, leaning over her shoulder. Humans rarely do in practical survival trials. This one barely speaks. Kaelrix frowned. His written exams are flawless. Paper means nothing on a death world, Marvek replied. And look at his behavior. He eats alone. Trains alone. Avoids sparring. That's fear. Kaelrix didn't respond, but the thought lingered. 3 hours later, 200 cadets were loaded onto drop pods and launched toward Krelos 7, a Class 8 death world infamous for its lethal ecosystems. The planet was a living contradiction. Frozen tundra collapsed into burning deserts. Jungles hid predators that hunted by vibration, scent, and sound. Even the plants were hostile, secreting toxins through touch. The rules were simple. Survive 72 hours. Reach extraction. Work as a team. When Evan Holt's pod struck the surface, he did exactly what everyone expected. He disappeared. Within minutes, his tracking signal showed minimal movement. No shelter construction. No alliance formation. No scouting pattern. Just a slow drift toward a rocky ravine, then nothing. He's hiding, Marvek scoffed from the orbital control room. The human is already defeated. Around the planet, other cadets were doing the opposite, forming groups, building camps, competing for resources, asserting dominance. Evan Holt, meanwhile, said nothing. Did nothing. Moved almost not at all. And that was the first mistake they made. Because Evan wasn't hiding. He was watching. For the first 6 hours, Evan Holt barely registered on the observation feeds. His tracker showed small, deliberate movements inside a narrow canyon system. To the untrained eye, it looked like indecision. Fear. Paralysis. Kaelrix kept watching. She noticed patterns the others missed. Evan wasn't pacing. He wasn't wandering. Every movement had purpose. He followed water runoff lines, pausing to test condensation patterns on rock surfaces. He collected plant samples, not to eat, but to observe reactions when insects touched them. He catalogued sounds, noting which calls repeated and which vanished after predators passed through. He's conserving energy, Kaelrix murmured. Or wasting time, Marvek replied. The exam rewards initiative. He hasn't wasted a step, she said quietly. By hour 8, the drones revealed the truth. Evan had transformed the canyon into a defensive lattice. Pressure traps disguised under loose soil. Trip lines woven from fibrous vines. Elevated perches with clear sight lines. Hidden water reservoirs shielded from contamination. Every entrance funneled movement into narrow choke points. He built a perimeter, Kaelrix realized. Not a camp. A kill zone. The first real test came at hour 13. A distress signal burst across the shared channel. A group of 4 cadets, cornered by a pack of Krelvik stalkers, apex predators known for coordinated attacks and venomous spines. Among them was Reth Karn, who had openly mocked Evan's silence during training. Anyone nearby, respond. Reth shouted. We're pinned. Most cadets ignored the call. Helping others meant risking yourself. Evan heard it. For 30 seconds, he didn't move. Then his tracker spiked. He's going toward them. Marvek snapped. That's suicide. Evan crossed hostile terrain with speed that defied his training record. He avoided open ground, used shadows, moved with the confidence of someone who had grown up knowing predators didn't announce themselves. When he reached the trapped cadets, the stalkers were already circling. Stay low, Evan commanded. His voice was calm. Controlled. When I move, you run. No hesitation. You're alone. Reth protested. I won't be for long, Evan replied. He didn't fight the predators. He led them. Straight into the traps he'd spent hours preparing. The first Krelvik never saw it coming. The ground collapsed beneath its weight, sending the creature crashing into a pit lined with sharpened mineral spikes. Its screech echoed through the canyon, confusing the rest of the pack. The second was yanked upward by a snare strong enough to lift its thrashing body into the air, spines scraping uselessly against stone. The third charged blindly, straight into a deadfall of interlocked boulders that shattered its legs. The remaining two stalkers turned their attention to Evan. They adapted fast. So did he. Evan ran, not in panic, but with intent. He vaulted over rocks, slid beneath fallen trunks, forced the predators to split and rejoin repeatedly, exhausting them. He controlled the terrain. Controlled the pace. Back in the canyon, the final trap awaited. One stalker lunged and triggered a concealed blade that severed its spine. The last one cornered Evan against a cliff wall. For a heartbeat, the galaxy held its breath. Then Evan stopped running. He turned and roared. Not fear. Not desperation. Challenge. The predator hesitated, just long enough. Evan drove his spear into the soft tissue beneath its jaw, the one weak point he had identified from earlier kills. The stalker collapsed. Silence returned. All cadets secure, Evan said calmly into his comm, returning to position. The rescued cadet stared at him in disbelief. You never trained with us, Reth said. How did you do that? Evan shrugged. I'm from Earth. The remainder of the exam changed completely. Evan didn't become loud. He didn't seek attention. But when he spoke, cadets listened. He taught them how to read tracks, how to avoid predators instead of fighting them, how to survive without exhausting themselves. When extraction arrived, 196 cadets remained. The highest survival rate in Academy history. At graduation, Kaelrix approached Evan. You scored highest in the exam, she said. Why didn't you show your abilities earlier? Evan considered this. Because no one asked, he replied. And because quiet doesn't mean weak. He paused. It means I was watching. And that was the day the Academy learned the most dangerous humans aren't the loud ones. They're the ones who wait.